Hello everyone, it's me, Connor from Seafoam Gaming here to give you an Unscripted Memories special episode that kind of kicks off the Pokemon anime retrospective I talked about a while ago. It's kind of weird because I wanted to start from the beginning and I had a script of the beginning made, but I didn't get the script well finished, and I want to do other things like that special Deviant fanfiction episode I'm working on now, and a mobile gaming episode. But tonight, since Unscripted Memories is a bit easier to do than Eternal Memories, and I saw a movie I liked, I think I'm going to talk about it. You know, I'm sweating like mad, the lighting's bad because it's late at night, and I'm in my pajamas because I'm all black. And I also am petting this guy because he's so soft. But anyways, here are my unscripted thoughts when I adjust the camera, because that's what I'm doing in Unscripted Memories, on the Pokemon 20th movie known as I Choose You. So to start things off, I should give you a bit of clarity since we're going really out of order with this retrospective. The original plan was for me to start at the beginning where I first talked about how I first got introduced to Pokemon anime, etc., and go from there and basically go through each of the series one by one, the regions, so to say, and go over their movies in a brief summary. But technically, movie 20, or I Choose You as the full name's called, it's not related to Sun Moon anime at all, which is good for me because I haven't seen a single episode of the Sun and Moon anime yet. Mainly because I still need to catch up on the last 5 episodes of X, Y, and Z, and Disney XD's being a bit stingy about rerunning them. And to be fair, so was Cartoon Network. They never reran them, and because I actually deleted the last 5 episodes because of some stupid mistake my grandmother made with the DVR, I can't really watch them until they come back on TV, or if Pokemon TV updates with them. Or if part 2 of the series comes out on DVD. But anyways, this should be my clarification. I have nothing knowledge-wise of the Sun Moon anime outside of summaries I read on Bulbapedia and Cerebi every week when a new Japanese episode comes out. So I do know what's going on, and from the looks of it, it seems like Johto and Sinnoh filler the series. It doesn't seem that good, and it only got good a month ago, I think, with the whole Cosmog story. So I'm not going to review that series and put on my retrospective unless it's somehow complete by the time I finish it, which, knowing my pacing with the Mystery Dungeon retrospective, it probably will be. But anyways, movie 20 has nothing to do with the Sun Moon anime, and visually it looks pretty much like an XY episode, which is great, because XY had the best animation of the entire franchise at that point, next to Pokemon Origins. Unlike the Sun Moon anime Steven Universe art style that looks really ugly with some human characters, and okay with some Pokemon like my cute little buddy here. So I have nothing knowledge-wise of the English dub or Japanese dub of the Sun Moon anime. I haven't watched the Japanese version of the Sun Moon anime outside of the intro theme, and again, reading up spoilers. So it should be noted that this is an interesting perspective because this is the first time I've technically seen a Alolan Pokemon on the big screen because, well, they didn't appear in XY. At least not unless you count Magiana from the 19th movie, or Magiana as she called. So anyways, let's get going. The 20th movie was announced in late December of last year, and I remember the reactions to it being very positive because it was a 20th anniversary special. The teaser was nice, and it was just Ash putting his hat on, and the hat had a new extension on it. It was the first season hat, but bigger, with the green logo being longer than it was in season 1, where it was just a little stripe before. And all sorts of theories and speculation ran about, and I even got into the mix as well. My first hope for the 20th anniversary movie was that it would retell Season 1 in HD, but fix the biggest problems that made Season 1 bad, looking back at it now. And speaking of Season 1, I decided before watching this movie in the theater, I'd go back and rewatch the first 37 episodes of the Pokemon anime. Well, 35, because they skipped 2 in the dub. The first 35 episodes of the Pokemon anime, basically to see where the original series began, see how the dub was back then, and to see what the story was. And overall, as people pointed out in recent years, it was kind of underwhelming. The adventure was more about Ash, well, going through towns and getting free badges badges. I think 4 out of the 6 times he actually... Yeah, 4 out of 6 times of the first 35 episodes, he got his badges for free for helping out or doing something stupid, or because the gym leaders felt pity, or because Team Rocket were being stupid. And that was kind of a stupid way to get a gym badge, and in the original series, the only badges he got legitimately at that point was the Good badge and the 6 badge, but you could debate the 6 badge a bit. And don't get me started along with the latest Cinnaball Island, that's infamous. Needless to say, I choose Liu when that was first announced. My biggest hope was that if they focus on the battling, they'd have Ash be actually battling the gym leaders, and he'd get the badges legitimately through instead of handouts. And I will say that in the final product, I'll get into the whole synopsis with mild spoilers in a bit, but in the movie, one of the first things that happens is that Ash gets his third badge. They skipped the first 2 for some reason, from Erica, and in this show, the only way she got the badge the only way she gave the badge to Ash was because he helped save the Pokemon from Team Rocket being jerks and stealing perfume from the girly girl dome building. And he never got an actual fight with Erica, but in the movie, even though it's like only a minute long, he actually beats Erica's Tangela and gets a badge legitimately. Hooray! That's my first biggest wish somewhat accomplished, because more on that later. But my other wish that I wanted the movie to accomplish was the fact that recent Pokemon movies have really sucked hard. And that's not even a case of the infamous sub versus dub debate I'm going to go into later. Honestly, for the most part, a lot of the movies since The Sky Warrior, which was the last one I truly enjoyed from start to finish, they've had something that brought them down. Arceus has had a stupid plot about time travel, and Arceus not being menacing enough. The Zoroark movie had, well, legendaries shoehorned in with no explanation, especially Celebi. And the Victini movie was kind of back to form, but my problem was the 2 versions of the movie BS, because why are there 2 movies if they're the same story with different mascots? Keldeo and the Sword of Justice was the first Pokemon movie I hate with all my fire of existence. Do not watch it. I won't talk about it anymore. We'll get to that in black and white in like 2018 or whatever. And same goes for the Genesect movie, but that was for a different reason, and not because the infamous Mewtwo is a different Mewtwo. I actually thought that was a good Mewtwo. Diancie was also very, very bad, almost as much as the Keldeo movie. I hate that for similar reasons, but mostly because there's no conflict. And the Hoopa movie was an extended TV episode, and so was the Volcanion movie. That's the main problem with the XY movies. Even though the later 2 were good story-wise, they just, because of how far in advance the anime had become, they felt like extended TV episodes. Nothing that needed to be in the movie theater anymore. While in the first 3 movies, they had like big visual improvements. They were on widescreen, the animation was better, there were more visual effects and CGI, so that way you could tell this was better than the actual TV shows. And even in Diamond and Pearl, they did some nice shading to make it seem more professional than the actual episodes. But in the black and white, and especially X and Y, it just looked like a TV episode, and it was pretty disappointing. So, the movie 20, I have to say, they kind of fixed the shading problem. It now looks a bit more unique than XY, but it still looks a lot like an XY episode, just with better production values. So, presentation-wise, it's okay. It's much better than Sun and Moon, and I thought it got the job done well. But back to my little history with the movie, because earlier this year, they confirmed the main part of the movie was not about Ash going through the whole Indigo League rigmarole again, but instead there was a what-if scenario in an alternate universe where all the Pokemon from all the generations existed, and trainers went to Kanto, and this version of Ash is basically starting his journey and, well, going on an adventure. But instead of being a Pokemon master, he wants to meet Ho-Oh, the legendary bird Pokemon that gave him a feather in the movie and just flew over him in the first episode of the actual show. Back when it was gold and didn't even have a finalized design. I wish movies and Pokemon episodes would do that with upcoming Pokemon more often. Needless to say, that's when the deviations occurred, and people were very mad because one of these deviations were in the form of 2 characters I'll get into in a bit. Verity, a girl who's from Twin Leaf Town, and Sorio, who's from Veilstone City, both in Sinnoh, and they both have Sinnoh Pokemon for some reason. I don't know why the focus is on Sinnoh as these traveling companions all of a sudden, unless they're hinting at another possible train wreck. Oh no. But enough about that. Needless to say, people were mad that Brock and Misty, who were the companions in the first season, were nowhere to be seen in the trailers, and people hoped that maybe Ash would actually battle them and get badges, and maybe that was going to be their role in the movie, as actual gym leaders who had stuff to do instead of Brock being out on a journey because his father was dumb, and Misty being out on a journey because her sisters were dumb. But sadly, Erica's the only gym leader you ever get to see Ash fight in the movie, period. And even then, it's a short fight. You know he has 2 badges beforehand, but we don't know what they are. And Erica's technically the 4th gym leader in the game, so it's kind of like a half-assed shoehorn of a gym leader. But when I get into the synopsis bit of the movie, it kind of makes a bit more sense on what they were going for. Needless to say, this movie was all about adventuring to find Ho-Oh and Ash meeting up with fellow Ho-Oh enthusiasts. And honestly, I think they did a good job with the movie. So now with all the pre-talk about the movie previews and stuff out of the way, let's get into the actual movie. So the first 8 minutes of the movie start out like, well, the first episode of Pokemon, which, to be honest, I actually do not like as much watching now as I did back when I was a kid. It felt a bit padded out, it kind of was just Ash and Pikachu being mean to each other, and I didn't think it needed to be as long and dramatic as it was. Especially with the Spearow flock attacking Ash at the end, and how it's just kind of laughable that a flock of the weakest bird Pokemon in Generation 1 somehow, well, try to massacre Ash. Because there weren't that many of them. I Choose Liu makes up for this, thankfully, by having the introduction bit where Ash meets Pikachu and they first, well, go together, be a bit short. Ash tries catching a Pidgey, it fails, and then he tries catching the Spearow, and it angers the Spearow, and instead of a couple hundred or so, like, Spearow chasing after him, there are so many of them that it actually does make them seem like a legitimate threat, something that you would need to run away from. Now, I will say it's kind of disappointing they didn't have anyone with a bike, even if it wasn't Misty. I think it would have been a nice Misty cameo, because, believe it or not, 5 characters from the anime, including like 4 characters of the day and Gary, cameo in the beginning of the movie. And some of these characters haven't been seen since a few of them from the first movie as background characters, and one of them from a random second season episode, which is very nice to catch on if you're a fan of these old episodes like I am. So, I hope they would do something similar with the bike and Ash having to run away from the Spearow, but no, he runs away from them on foot, and Pikachu defends him, and same old, and then he just goes on getting badges for a bit, and exploring the land, and catching a Caterpie like he did, but without Misty this time. And it's basically just a condensed, weird version of the first season, like, that doesn't make much sense, honestly, until he gets to a Pokemon Center where he hears about a Pokemon Entei. Entei was not in Generation 1. But, as I almost forgot to mention, Ho-Oh wasn't in Generation 1 either, and since this movie's all about him and they now have all the lore about Ho-Oh, when Ash encounters Ho-Oh after the Spearow flock attacks him, he gets a Rainbow Wing from Ho-Oh. And since Rainbow Wing's what summons Ho-Oh in the games, they incorporate this into the story, and Ash goes on the quest to find Ho-Oh after hearing the rumors from a group of friends who arrive at the Celadon City Pokemon Center. He hears from a boy named Soriel, the one I mentioned earlier, who has Lucario and is looking to become like a Pokemon doctor of sorts, kind of like Brock, but a bit better in the sense that he's actually more focused on Pokemon's well-being and is more interested on researching old legends, which made him a lot more likable than Salon from Black and White. And Verity is pretty much Dawn, but not Dawn. Like, out of all the new characters in the movie, she's the one I don't get why she exists, because she has a Piplup with her, wants to be a trainer and impress her mom, And it's literally just Dawn, except without contests and stuff. It's kind of dumb. But she does come across as a good character, and they all set out to hunt for Entei. And Ash and Verity meet up with Entei, and Entei gets mad. But Ash wants to battle it, and they fail. And for the most part, they meet Soriel, who basically explains that a rainstorm is going to come in. And they, of course, the two of them, because it's just Ash and Verity that's playing, Soriel's to his side with a random Lucario who does nothing in the movie, I'm serious. All while Team Rocket, because they're in the first season as well, they are in disguise at the Pokemon Center, and they just go after Entei, but you don't really see them do anything, and I'll get into that later as well. So, more adventures continue, and they arrive and find a Charmander who's abandoned, like in the first season episode where Damien, some kid with colorful hair, abandoned the Charmander and got burned alive by it, and basically, you know the story, Ash captures it, evolves into a disobedient Charmeleon, etc., etc. This is where another deviation that I actually really enjoy takes place, and that's in the form of a rival named Cross, who basically replaces Gary as Ash's rival. But unlike the first season, which people don't really remember this, Ash never fought Gary once in the first season. He only fought him at the very end of the second season after the Orange Islands. In the first season, all Gary did was just drive around with some girls in a minivan and they cheer for him, and we saw him battle people, but not Ash. So Gary was pretty much just stupid. Needless to say, this new guy is a guy named Cross who has a cross on his hair because whoopie-dee-doo, and at first he seems like a clone of Paul from Diamond and Pearl mixed with Silver, but he's actually a bit better than Silver, not as good as Paul in my opinion, but at first he's just a stereotypical jerk who's like, oh, Pokemon who are weak, I like cool, tough Pokemon. Yet he only has 2 in the whole movie, and I'll talk about that as well. And basically he abandons the Charmander because it wasn't working out for him. He told it he'd come back and left in a rainstorm where it would die if it wasn't taken care of. So Ash and Verity rush it to a cave, and they meet Sorelai, who happens to be in the same cave, and they nurture it back to health. They meet Entei, who's also like looking out for a Pokemon, who sees Ash being nice, and that leads into more events in the movie, where they find out about the aforementioned Ho-Oh legend, and then they have Caterpie evolved into Metapod after facing against the ugliest trainer with a Jigglypuff I've ever seen. Like, seriously, they had to make it a really weird looking character, not based on any trainer class. I can't explain, it's like they wanted to be, oh, I'm the crazy Jigglypuff lady. I don't know, kind of funny. But basically, Metapod is Metapod now, and Charmander evolves into Charmeleon after a battle with Cross, and, well, Cross beats Charmeleon up pretty badly. And needless to say, Ash gets very upset about this, and we get into a weird part of the movie that's kind of high spoiler territory, where Ash is in this weird limbo state of sorts. And it's really cool, and I don't want to spoil it for yourself, but it's really a nice take on Pokemon, a what-if scenario, in a what-if movie. And basically, it nearly causes the rainbow wing he has to lose its color, and he goes back on his journey after some motivation and self-searching, and he goes out to find, well, more information about Ho-Oh. And so we learn more about the other 2. Verity, not much. She's still like Dawn, wanting to impress her mother, but instead of being a contest star, her mother's a Pokemon master. Not a master, a strong Pokemon trainer that looks a lot like a certain character from Gen 4, but I'm going to leave that bit a surprise so you can see and make your own judgments. And Solio actually has a really sad backstory that I'm kind of happy they didn't cut out of the dub, because I know people were worried about it. And basically, it was just him having an obedient Pokemon that protected him like a bodyguard. And one night he was out on his own to code, and the Pokemon basically sacrificed itself to be its bodyguard to the very end, and it was a very obedient Pokemon. And he basically explains that he got out of Pokemon for a bit and didn't really feel comfortable around him until he met Lucario. But this is where my first problem with the plot comes into play, because he has Lucario that just follows him around, and that's it. We don't know why he met Lucario. We don't know where it came from. We don't know why he bonded to it. All it does outside protects him and fights near the end of the movie is just follow him. He just follows Soriel all over the place and makes the same happy that Bill Rogers is very good at doing with Lucario. So, I like Lucario. He does nothing in the movie, and it's kind of sad. I kind of wanted to hear more about why he bonded with Lucario, especially since Lucario evolves from a friendship-based Pokemon, and I was hoping for there would be some backstory about how the friendship he gained from his old friend led him to evolve with Riolu, and that's what got him into loving Pokemon again. Needless to say, during a period where they take a rest, Soriel has her self-reflection moment and meets Suicune, which basically leads to them find out that, oh hey, Ho revived Suicune entering Raikou, so if we follow that, we'll get to wherever Ho is. And in the meantime, Cross is, well, being a stereotypical edgy guy, and he has this Lycanroc and an Incineroar who's both from Alola, so he's another import trainer. And, Incineroar's what fought Charmeleon earlier. We never see, Lycanroc doesn't seem to do anything at all except follow him around with the demented look that they are known for. And for a while, I thought they were going to make it a pointless side character. But near the end of the movie, even though it's heavily implied, they do hint at why he doesn't lose it. And it's brilliant. We'll get into that in a little bit. Needless to say, they just continue the journey avoiding gym badges. Because why not? Legendary Pokemon hunting is so much fun. That's kind of a bit disappointing. But they do have lots of good moments together. Even though it's a movie and they have to compress stuff a lot, they do show that Ash and Soriel and Verity get a lot of good moments together. They make good friends, and they're basically companions like Max and May from Advanced Generation, except without the siblingness. So I think they're actually very good companions, much better than Iris and Sidon, to say the least. So that's a good plus for this movie. And basically, Ash evolves his Metapod into a Butterfree while fighting No, not a Pinsir. He evolves a Pinsir is what makes Cappy evolve into Metapod earlier. No, what makes his Butterfree from a Metapod is when he got attacked by Primate, and I was so hoping he'd catch one because in the original series, he only had it for like a few episodes, used it once, and then gave it away to some random guy. I want to see more angry Primate from Ash, but no, he doesn't get Primate. Even though he got attacked by Primate, it's just sad. Needless to say, Butterfree's Butterfree, and on their way to finding out more about Ho, once they finally find out via the Rainbow Wing that it's Mount Tensei, the home of Ho-Oh's next arrival point, and also where the Rainbow Wing is basically set to be put in a pedestal, they meet Raikou after the Bye Bye Butterfree scene is remade. Kind of rushed a bit because it's not about... In the original TV show, it was about mating season, and Ash saw Butterfree meet another, trying to find a mate, and they were happy together, so Ash let Butterfree go. And here, Butterfree just meets the mate right away. It's happier than Ash is, and Ash was hesitant to let it go, but does it anyway because he knows it's the right thing to do. So now Ash only has 2 Pokemon, Pikachu and Charmeleon. It's kind of cruddy to say the least, but what can you do? So anyways, we go back to them on their quest to Mount Tensei. They meet Raikou shortly after this, as I mentioned before. And then they meet up with Mike Pollock's character, who looks a lot like Red, who grew a massive mustache. His name is Bonji, and he's a, interesting fellow that's obsessed with Ho-Oh and the legendary beast. And basically he shows them the way to Mount Tensei. So cool, we're near the end of the movie. And I'm gonna cut things off a bit here because we get into heavy spoiler territory. What I will say is, there's actually legitimate emotional moments in the movie that, they didn't make me cry because I'm a bit kind of used to it. And also for another reason I'll mention later. There were lots of kids and adults in the movie who cried at the climax. And it was a very epic climax. It talked about the Mars Shadow Pokemon that's related to the movie, and a lot of people thought Mars Shadow was going to be shoehorned in, and it kind of was for a bit, but then they actually oh yeah, we can make this work, and the climax makes it work work brilliantly, in my opinion. Needless to say, after said climax, which is very reminiscent of a rejected idea that Takeshi Shudo had for ending the Pokemon anime, which I was really happy to see because it's paying homage to the old roots in a way, and that was kind of good to see. We basically have the climax of the movie. We kind of get the idea on why Cross never sends out his Lycan walk, and I'm gonna save why for when I go into spoiler duper, super duper spoiler territory when I look back at this movie in my anime retrospective in 2018, which will be brief with the XY series because I'll consider an XY movie because it uses the XY art style. Needless to say, after the climax, they part ways, and Ash is by himself again with only 3 badges and 2 Pokemon with for Charizard now. It's kind of a weird ending, but it does get the goal they set out to do in the movie done. It's a satisfying ending, it's very enjoyable to watch, but if you're expecting like a first season remaster done right, you only get like a 15 minutes of that. It's mostly a good movie on its own. So with my done the basic plot of the movie and the pre-release stuff out of the way, let's get into the juicy bits, as I like to call it, which is basically the end credits throwback. This is, I guess, in the same sort of spoiler territory as the climax. I skipped over the avoid spoilers, so, well, I can't say click this and point the video because I don't know how long this video is going to be, but maybe I'll put an annotation. If not, well, skip ahead a minute. It probably won't take that long. But the credits was the best part of the movie, even though the other parts of the movie were really well done. I enjoyed it overall much more than the tragedies of the past 2 Pokemon movies. Mainly because, A, like in the Volcanion movie, they had an amazing ending song, which for a dubbed Pokemon movie is surprising considering how most of the theme songs for they suck in both English and Japanese. And I was really happy to see that this is probably one of the best ending credits themes to a Pokemon movie since Chiwachi Wishmaker, which was a dub of the Japanese theme. And I really enjoyed it. It was a great theme, and it went along with a nice little showcase of all the, well, past companions Ash had in their original attire, not the new ones from when they reappeared in future seasons. So Brock's based off his original series outfit, Misty's still on her bike from the original series in the credits, and Max and May are wearing their normal uniforms from Hoenn, and Tracy's there for the first time 11 years we see Tracy on screen. Thankfully, he doesn't have his awful voice from season 9, but still, for me particularly, I love that they actually acknowledged Tracy because I loved him as a character. I want to see more of him, and I got sad that they ignored him whenever Ash came back from his regional travels. So it was nice to see him acknowledged in the movie at the end of the credits, along with the other companions and Iris and Siren. So yeah, basically the end credits of the movie were basically them showing off cute scenes, basically letting the viewer know that in the real canon that Ash had all these amazing friends, plus Iris and Siren, and it was nice touch. It was a great touching way to end the movie. Nice music, probably the best actual composition in the whole movie by far, and it was great. The movie was great, and the ending credits were great. A nice throwback, and worthy of being a 20th anniversary movie. So with that out of the way, it took more than a minute, now 2, I'm gonna go into the presentation, which I already did with the visuals, but now we get into the controversial subject. The effects and music. Okay, no, I'm not gonna be like Kaiju no Kami, he's a great reviewer, but no, it's not only the effects, because I kind of talked about those in my review of the visuals in the first segment, but the music is controversial to some people. I kept a good eye on it because, I'll be honest, as I mentioned and hinted at just a few minutes ago, Japanese Pokemon music outside of reused songs from the games has kind of sucked since Diamond and Pearl, in my opinion. In Diamond and Pearl, they would occasionally have insert songs in the Japanese version from old seasons that were memorable, like Type Wild and Ready Go, amazing songs I loved, and I actually bought a CD of it a while ago with lots of those old theme songs. And the background music that they made for like certain scenes, like Tears in the Cloudy Weather, among several other first season songs that were still kept in the 4Kids version of the anime, even if some of them were cut because of, well, budget and because they thought the American soundtrack was better. For most part, Japanese music was really good up until the end of Diamond and Pearl. Then Black and White, they kind of changed to a different style I did not like as much, especially with the intro and ending themes. Oh god, they were awful. And the Pokemon USA dub was kind of the same way with the intro themes since Battle Frontier. Outside of the Battle Dimension intro, I actually hated all the Pokemon USA intro themes with vocals because the fact that, well, the vocals were pretty terrible, the composition was awful, except for We Will Be Heroes. So I was kind of sad to see the Japanese version, which is usually the one to go to for better music to like pump you up for an episode. It was going to be crappy. So I thought, okay, maybe the background music will be better. It was actually kind of good in the beginning of Black and White. And then it got generic. Both Japanese and the dub. This was even more apparent in the movies. By God, it did not make the Keldeo and Genesect movies any easier to sit through. It was just awful, boring, and generic noise that made me fall asleep. And maybe there was some super duper secret like compositions that they kept out of the US version. Whatever the case, there was still Japanese music in the Keldeo movie, I know for sure, at least unless all the information on Bulbapedia is incorrect. And I hated that movie even more for it. More than because the plot was garbage and the characters were awful and there was no villain. So the 20th movie was kind of a bit of a controversial one for some fans because I think both as a result of the declining quality in the Japanese music and the fact that it's stupidly expensive to license Japanese music tracks nowadays for English dubs of an anime, and since we know the reason they changed the voice actors was to save, like, cut costs and save money, it was no surprise to some people like me that they started cutting out all the Japanese music and replaced it with dub music. And for the most part, the dub music was just as boring and forgettable as the Japanese music. But it wasn't really as bad as some of the 4Kids dub music, because I swear to God, there was this one song in Advanced Generations dub that drives me insane. Like, the famous Mudkip scene that people talk about has this awful background music over it, so every time I see the Mudkip meme and want to like think, oh, Mudkip's cute, I can't think of it because the goddamn music that's go it drives me insane, and I can't stand that music, and if that's somehow from Japanese version, what were you thinking, Shinji Miyazaki? Or I probably butchered that. Needless to say, the dub music got bad, but so did Japanese music, which some people thought was superior, and in some ways it kind of was, but for the most part, I don't know, I just didn't really like the Japanese version anymore. It didn't have the same intensity as Sinnoh, like Japanese version of Sinnoh did. And believe it or not, even though I watched the dub when Black and White came out, despite how much I hate that series for reasons I'll get into my full retrospective, X and Y's dub I thought was really good. The voice acting was phenomenal, except for some of the Pokemon like Gudra. But Ash, Serena, Clement, and Bonnie, they had great voice actors, so did the side characters. They were all good. Most of the Pokemon, except for Gudra, were very good compared to the atrocity voice acting from Black and White. So, even with some of the music changes in X and Y, the voice acting was phenomenal, so I actually enjoyed watching the dub a lot more than the Japanese version, which is kind of odd because I'm going to bring an example here. Inuyasha. I watched this on Adult Swim when I was little. What got me into it? The background music, both the credits music and also the music that plays during the actual, well, episode. Pokemon had this for a while too with the first season, as I mentioned before, but as I said, in Black and White, they started changing it and made it generic music to replace the generic music that the Japanese version had gone. Theoretically, if they replaced Inuyasha's soundtrack with the generic music that was in Black and White and X and Y's dub, I would not like the show as much as I do now because music enhances the experience. The problem is, when the music in the Japanese version sucks so hard anyways, replacement music isn't really that much better, especially in the movies. Cause yes, for some weird reason, they replaced the soundtrack to the X and Y movies. And I thought that was kind of unnecessary because at least the movies kept their score. But the funny part is, they did this all to save cost. They kept all the music in Pokemon Origins and Generations from the Japanese version. And it was phenomenal. That music was great anime music. I want to see more of it. And they went back to, well, generic music from a new composer. But it did get a bit better in X, Y, and Z, I think. Stand Tall, and again, the intro themes were still terrible in my opinion, except for the Pokemon theme remix for X and Y Season 1. The background music was kind of the same old, but it wasn't predictable in the same way as the late parts of Johto and Advanced Generation in the dub, where you could tell from the tone of the music when Team Rocket's going to get defeated, when a battling's going to happen or end, etc., etc. But with the new music, it's just neutral. You don't really have any idea what's going on, and you know that sad stuff, and happy stuff's happy stuff. And I rambled about this way too long for a review about the 20th movie, but hey, such is the nature of unscripted memories. But basically, all of this rambling was for me to tell you that even though they kept music when it should have fit in Origins and Generations, and even though movie 20 did have a stellar score in Japan because they actually reused first season themes because it was a first season reimagining, all that's gone. Except for one theme that plays near the end of the movie as a remix to credits theme from Red Balloon Yellow, which is one of probably the worst tracks on the Japanese soundtrack, which is upsetting because I can tolerate all the new music and all the boring new music being gone for the dub because Japanese music in general in the Pokemon anime isn't that good lately. But these were old classic tracks that even were on the 4Kids version. They were great songs. And they were replaced and just felt mixed. Some of the songs that the composer, who's named Ed Goldfarb, made, they were actually really good. I thought they could be serviceable replacements. Again, I mentioned the stellar credits theme, which was amazing. The nice remix of the Pokemon theme for this movie, along with a nice melody that played when they were healing up Charmander and when Ash fought the Pidgey for the first time. Those were good background songs. And so was some near the climax. But one song, just one song, which is more than a lot of people have complaints with the composer, and I'll get to that in a bit because I'm going to condemn some people in a short bit. But one song near the end of the movie at the climax, but just basically the final battle of the movie at the climax, there was literally a piano piece where it was like someone going on a keyboard, and it kind of kills the mood. But it's only for a few seconds, and the rest of the score is serviceable. So, compared to the atrocities I've heard in the Advanced Generation dub music, I do think the movie 20 music is better and not as generic as the other movie scores. But man, they really should have worked hard to at least keep 2 tracks from the original first season, well, the original 20th movie that were from the first season, because Pokemon fans will remember them. My personal favorites were Tears After the Cloudy River and the little happy samba theme that played at the end of most episodes of Season 1, where basically, Ash and Cole would wave goodbye to a friend and stuff. So I'll explain, but if you watch any old episode of Season 1 of Pokemon, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's usually a way to identify good Indigo League episodes, in my opinion. So yeah, the music's replaced, and it's not bad, actually, but they should have tried a bit harder since they went off the record for Origins and kept all the score, because that was a good soundtrack. I can understand why they wouldn't keep the soundtrack to XYZ and Sun Moon, because A, it's expensive, and B, it's not really that good, and it's mostly just reused game themes, but I think they should have done it a bit more for the Sun Moon anime, especially when Digimon Adventure Tri kept all the Japanese music despite the dub of that show never doing it, which blew me away for that case, but hey, you can't have everything. So now with the long ramble about the music and, the music, I rambled 10 minutes about the music, wow. This is gonna be one weird review. The voice acting, it was actually very good. And I'm kind of surprised to say that because there were some voice actors I was nervous about because, well, for the most part, I'm gonna get into a certain trio that we all know and love in a bit, because I'm gonna dedicate a whole part of this review to them because they are the worst part about this movie. But outside of them, the characters actually had very good voice acting. Ash sounded great, which is surprising because I thought Veronica Taylor, without her, the movie based on the first season, Old Ash, would just be not the same. But I think because the art style and how mature it looks compared to the old pencil art of the first season, it distinguishes between the two styles very well. And I think Sarah Nattelcheny can do a good Ash, even in his original form, for this movie. I wouldn't want to go back and read up all the season 1 episodes, hell no. That's not a good idea to do because they're already dubbed, and they were good dubs, for the most part. Not the first 3 movies, though. And, well, she does a good job as Ash. She's motivational, she's very... basically knows how to give her lines well, and a lot of people thought her laughs were bad compared to Veronica Taylor's. I thought her laughs were okay. They got the job done. Ash didn't laugh much in this movie at all. She still fit. She still felt like Ash, an older Ash, but an Ash. Serenity and Soriel's voice actors, on the other hand, were also very good. Serenity sounded a bit generic and, well, for the most part, like an ordinary girl, and was a good voice actor. Nothing remarkable, nothing stellar, but nothing bad. Soriel is probably the best voice acted character in the entire movie, in my opinion, hands down. His performance was great. I really enjoyed all of his lines, and he was really informative. Of course, some of the Pokemon noises are actually good as well. Lucario's still as good as ever, he does nothing in the movie. And the other background Pokemon actually don't sound bad. I was happy to hear that Lycanroc and Incineroar did not sound horrible because I was scared they would after what they did to Goodra. And overall, the voice acting was stellar. It was really nice to hear Mike Pollock as Bonji as well, because he was in the 4Kids dub and he came back for the new dub. And it was still nice to see him play the same old elderly expedition man that he played before, like Arthur Hawkins from Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think Volcanion from the last movie, even though he sounded a bit different in that one. So the voice acting is actually really good, and since Misty and Brock aren't in this movie and they don't speak, there's no need for the old voice actors to return. Maybe for the reunion episode in the Sun Moon anime, but that's a different story entirely. So I think the lack of Veronica Taylor in this movie is not going to kill it. I do wish she came back, though, because there was, outside of certain tweet I'm going to mention in a bit, the one voice actor I did have a bit of problems with was Delia Ketchum's voice actor, because at the beginning of the movie, it didn't sound natural at all. It sounded a bit hard, like she was trying too hard to sound different than her normal voice, while Veronica Taylor's Delia is literally her normal voice without any changes, and Ash is the one she changes up. But Delia just sounds weird. But then in the middle of the movie, when they call her to update her on Ash's progress, she sounds perfectly fine and good. She sounds better. So it's kind of weird how one part of the movie had her sound pretty bad, and the other part had her sounding okay. So I do think maybe the perfect role for unscripted memories, man. The perfect role for Veronica Taylor, in my opinion, would have been Ash's mom. Because at least then she could have been a character that's, while technically minor, still an important part of the first season, and she was really good at that role. Meanwhile, because Ash's mom hasn't been in many episodes since Battle Frontier, I don't think Sarah Nattelcheny has had as much experience as Ash's mom as Veronica Taylor did, because Ash's mom appeared a lot more often before Battle Frontier than she did afterwards. That's just me, though. Overall, voice acting is very good. And here we go. Part of the movie I hate to talk about. Would call it a spoiler warning, but it's so redundant, I don't need to say more. Team Rocket. For some stupid reason, they were part of the first season and were memorable villains for being goofballs, they do nothing in this movie. Literally, the first appearance you see of them, as I mentioned before, was when they were in the Pokemon Center hearing about Entei wanting to capture it. Good. Then they get blasted off by it. Okay, maybe it's just a one-time running gag. Are they gonna capture Pikachu? No, they just follow Ash some more and get blasted off over and over again through various gags, and they never get close to Ash even once. They never even have an interest in this Pikachu. All Team Rocket does is just hunt legendary Pokemon and fail epically, and I don't like Meowth's voice actor still. That's the one major Pokemon USA voice actor I do not like in terms of performance, because his Meowth does not match Matty Blostein's, but it's better than the first Meowth they used for a couple of episodes in Season 1. But we can't have Matty back because, well, a sad thing happened. Needless to say, Meowth's performance, and that the other Team Rocket members sound good, like, they are better than Meowth, they just don't do anything in this movie. It's dumb. They're just literally shoehorned in for the sake of, oh hey, in the first season how Team Rocket followed around Ash? Well, we don't have anything for them to follow him around for, so let's just have them there. They do nothing. They don't do anything. They never battle Ash. They never do anything. Not even off screen. Not even like for a few minutes like he did with that Erica person for the gym badge. They do nothing and are the worst part of this entire movie. Team Rocket should have never been in this movie at all, or they should have had a bigger role in the story, or at least been a funny side character that you could laugh at because, hey, maybe they could have done a clever twist on them. Maybe they could be arrested by Officer Jenny, or maybe they could have led to it in a Butch and Cassidy. But no, they didn't. They just exist. And at the end of the movie, in the post-credits, Wobbuffet's there. Why? We don't even see Ekans and Coughing. Wobbuffet's like, there. She got Licky Tongue, didn't want a Wobbuffet, accidentally got a Wobbuffet, and the other Pokemon will shifted hands a lot for reasons that will relate to each story, but here she just had a Wobbuffet in the get-go, and James had no Pokemon, unless you count Meowth. I don't know, but I hated Team Rocket in this movie. Every time they came on screen, I groaned. I just couldn't stand them. So in conclusion, after this weird, long, rambly dot of my impressions of the movie, what do I think? Overall, it's the best movie since The Sky Warrior for me. It's not on the same level of amazingness and wonder that I think the Lucario and the Mystery of Mew movie is, but it's better than the same old generic, oh, evil villains being mean to legendary Pokemon, beat them up with current cast and Pokemon Endgame, or, oh, some Pokemon's in trouble, let's go on an adventure to help them, like the Keldeo movie I hate. No, this was a coming-of-age story in a way, of helping Pokemon, meeting new trainers, meeting new friends, and having a good time, learning life lessons like the original series. It's not going to replace the first season by any means, sadly, but it's a good follow-up. It's a good companion to the first season. The first season is going to be on Blu-ray. Well, by that I mean the first 2 volumes of this DVD set, because the third one, I guess isn't season 1 anymore, I don't know. That's going to be on Blu-ray if you want the original adventures with Ash and Misty and Brock, but the new movie is very good. It's a nice nostalgic throwback in a way to introduce Pokemon to a new audience without having to go watch these old episodes and be confused on why Ash is kind of clumsy in the first season. But that's mainly not the writer's fault. I'm going to explain that in my retrospective in a bit. And the music, despite my problems with how they replaced some of the classic Season 1 tracks, it's much better than the dub music from Advanced Generation and some of the more recent seasons. I do think Ed Goldfarb did what he could with the budget restraints, and at least he made a stellar ending song to make up for any mediocre piano craziness in the end of the movie that he did. But my biggest problem with the movie music is not that it exists and that sadly we don't have an Inuyasha situation where Japanese music is kept throughout, but rather because people were pricks about this movie. I'm not kidding. On Twitter, ever since the movie was announced, as I mentioned a while ago in my unscripted rant about Veronica Taylor not being cast for the movie, people were wanting Veronica Taylor back, and so was I. I was hoping she'd get a cameo as Ash, or, again, Delia, But that didn't happen. That's unfortunate because Mike Pollock and some other returning actors returned for this movie for new roles. It just saddened me, but I accepted it, and so did she, and so did the other cast. Some fans, however, despite the fact that the dubbing change happened 11 years ago, are still not over it and act as if 4Kids had a series, everything would be perfect. There'd be no dub music edits, there'd be none of that stuff whatsoever, there'd be no budget cuts. It would be perfect, 4Kids also made Legend of Thunder dub, which I do not like at all. I'm not going to talk about that, or else I'll get mad. But basically, people in recent years seem to think 4Kids is like a perfect dubbing company for the Pokemon anime, and they do have set of amazing voice actors. I don't know. The voice actors from the old series, except for one who I'm not gonna name, it's sad that they got replaced because of budget cuts. They accepted it with dignity and moved on with their lives to do, well, new voices for other games. Veronica Taylor does does voiceovers for other games like Dark Rose Valkyrie and Sailor Moon, and other anime and TV shows, so she still does work as a voice actor, and Rachel Lillis returned as the Shinx from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon 2's anime special. And I forgot the other guy's name. Maybe it's for the best. Oh, that Ted Lewis. He returned the voice to Giovanni and Tracy, Tracy hasn't appeared yet, and thank God, because that Tracy actor they had at the end of Battle Frontier was very bad. But needless to say, the old voice actors, while some of them are very disappointing and sad still, they don't really, believe in the idea that you should hate and villainify all the new voice actors, directors, composers, etc., for making the anime not the same as the Japanese version. Because guess what? 4Kids didn't either. Advanced Generation had awful dub music, dumb paint edits, dumb, cuts for no reason, all the sandwich edits and jelly donuts. They had their dumb moments too. Both dubs do. It's basically part of dubbing life, essentially. Yet in recent years, I've seen a vocal outpour of Pokemon going, "Oh, the Japanese version is superior, 100% superior, pure music, pure passion to voice acting, Pokemon dub's so awful, it's the worst thing since One Piece dub," without seemingly remembering that the 4Kids dub was also pretty terrible in some parts as well, especially Legend of Thunder. So, to see people go as far as to harass the voice actors, the new ones and the old ones, on Twitter over their roles and them not having roles and vice versa, no. Don't do that. That's just not courteous. And neither does this guy think you should do it too. Quite frankly, I like both Ashes. I like both voice actor sets. Some I don't like, as I mentioned Meowth and old Tracy from Battle Frontier, but I don't want to send deference to people who voice them. I just think they need better direction. Same with the music edits. Anyone who knows about Japan's music industry knows that music licenses are a pain to get. And even though I do think they should probably put more effort into the music licenses because, well, Pokemon's a big series after all and not something niche, it's understandable that they want to save costs if they don't think the anime is going to be their biggest hit. Their biggest hit is going to be the video games, and that's what they've always focused on. In fact, since Cartoon Network neglected the anime for so long, most of my friends never even watched it, because it was only on Saturday mornings they have a very bad time. With Sun and Moon, even though I don't have good thoughts about the series from the previews I've seen, at least it's on better time slots, and I know of more kids younger than me, who I see in my vacation cabin area, who enjoy the dub and find it good for their target audience. And that's what Pokemon dubs are all about, filling a target audience, in both Japan and America. The fan subbers who do a good job on the subtitle versions of the Japanese versions, they're also good. I do think they should, well, maybe not be hired, but I do think Viz Media should take note and at least find a way to subtitle the old movies, because even though I love the old voice actors and the new voice actors, I will say Movie 2's music change is the one that kills me, because that movie had phenomenal Japanese music, and it's all gone and bad. At least the Mewtwo movie had great music, and Tower of the Unknown, at least that movie had music that existed, But movie 2 just boring. Even if you don't like Ed Goldfarb's compositions, anyone who's watched all the seasons like I've had and all the movies can at least, hopefully, find out that there were better times in Pokemon history and worse times in Pokemon history during 4Kids. Needless to say, whatever the opinion is of the dub, you don't have to watch it. You can watch the Japanese version when it comes out on Blu-ray later this year. You can probably watch one of those dumb pirated versions people are going to illegally upload and probably get sued for like they should. And needless to say, I do think the voice actors and the production crew put their passion into making this a good Pokemon movie. It could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse for a dub. I still think Digimon Adventure Tri-Dub did a bit better in terms of fan service, but I Choose Lu was a good Pokemon movie. Now let's hope next year's Pokemon movie is not some dumb generic movie about Solar Galo and Luna Arla fighting. Because if it is and they ditch this cool concept that they had for the 20th anniversary movie, like maybe they'll do one with the Ethan from Legend of Thunder, or maybe May, a May movie. I love a May movie about May's quest. If they did that, I'd like it, but if they just go back to the generic beat evil villains, save legendary Pokemon, I'm just gonna probably be disappointed. That's it for this very long and rambly unscripted memories. I say goodbye, if you've managed to watch this whole thing. Sorry it was so long, but I had a lot to talk about. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And stay tuned for my eternal memories on the Pokemon anime when I actually go in depth and don't add filler. But at least my filler is not as bad as the Johto seasons. Anyways, bye.